The worthlessness of game writers. I want a company beholden to me. If I knew that a company was responsible for what they put out, and I had that chain of command, I'll explain, then I am capable of doing a good job or a bad job. I assume some sort of respect and a single voice, or being the person capable of aiding and abetting game developers. But to be frank, game writers are pissing in the wind. The internet at the moment is a noise machine with no qualitative direction, and it succeeds at putting a lot of great people out of work. And to be honest, a part of me still wants to wrinkle my nose at writers putting their heads out for Patreon donations. Not really out of snobbishness, but kind of idealism. Also, by now you might have caught on that by chain of command I mean if people prefer what I spoke about. See, I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't really relative. Like, in the past, the handful of people who had opinions worth paying for would be published for their strong subjective analysis. Subjectivity is now scorned. It's worse than the degenerate art in the Nazi-run Germany. Because at least in Nazi Germany, they were making art movements. While I'm biased, I haven't seen a push for a non-economic, non-political, subjective movement. Just trends. So, what work is there for an out-of-work writer with a penchant for game design, concepts, maps, and gameplay? It used to be a huge commodity. It's kind of very saddening. But yeah, it's now worthless because AAA companies are beholden to no one. Meaning in the last decade, specifically just the last decade, from about 2009, the man with the plan would also need to be the programmer, the artist, showrunner, and so on. And that's good, but it's not when you need to because the publishers just gave up, and that you have no other choice. While, you know, EA makes more money, and nobody really thinks hard enough to think that maybe subjectivity is important, nobody, not the audience, nor the publisher, nor the people who even ask for better criticism, which is ironic. It's just a big old cult, where people have gotten complacent enough to not analyze the content in terms of, what decisions would you make here? Or, how would you design these enemies better? Or even, what kind of thing would create the most enjoyable trap in the single-player campaign? Like, those were legitimate whole jobs, and they're no longer jobs because of the audience and the publishers. But the audience gave rise to the publishers because they didn't really have any care for subjectivity anymore. So yeah, it's probably why movie studios don't take any more risks with directors. They just play the same old directors from 10 years ago. It's just, all of creative industry has been on pause for about a decade. Like, it's just a stagnant industry. And I don't think it changed direction. The most enjoyable films over the last decade have all been planned from about 2009, like the most important movies, like Dark Knight. That was 2009 though. Yeah, not a single one comes to mind that wasn't really planned before now.